Call of Duty has introduced their brand new Battle Royale mode called Black Ops Royale, and alongside it, there's a brand new story that changes the entire perspective of everything happening after the Black Ops 7 campaign and the seasonal story we've been told so far. So let's dive right in. So at the end of Black Ops 7, we capture Emma Kagan, the leader of the guild and the kind of main villain for the game. And the Season 1 cinematic shows us transporting her from one location to another within Japan, and her escort alongside this mission is David Mason, who's basically just tagging along because he wants to make sure that he sees this to the end. Now the transport is ambushed by Guild's forces led by Alden Dorn, the second in command for the Guild, and he actually ends up killing Emma Kagan and capturing David Mason by activating some type of transmitter device with a button. Now we found out from Black Ops Season 2 that this is actually a transmitter to control when the cradle actually affects somebody as long as it is in their system. But anyways, let's go back to Season 1. So David Mason gets captured by Alden Dorn and taken to a different location by the Guild in order for them to experiment on him and try to figure out what's going on with the C-Link. Now the Season 2 cinematic introduces something interesting. Dr. Victoria Atwood. She has been experimenting on David Mason trying to figure out what's going on with the C-Link and how to decode the technology, but she also has a secondary goal. Now we find out in the Season 2 cinematic that the Guild is almost done reverse engineering the C-Link technology.
But we're closer to recreating the C-Link than ever before.
The C-Link technology that has been implanted into David Mason's head surgically. But there brings up an interesting question. If they were just trying to reverse that technology, why would they not just kill David Mason and pull it out of his head and reverse engineer it that way? Just reverse engineer the components, not the person. Why keep David Mason alive? Well, she makes a single line statement that completely changes the way that we view the post-season story for Black Ops 7 and what's going on with Black Ops Royale. She says, David Mason's mind is already a twisted nightmare we have to untangle from within. And this brings up a very interesting question. If the Guild just wanted the C-Link technology, they could have killed David Mason and pulled it out of his head and reverse engineered it. There's something else that they want from David Mason, something within his mind. They're trying to untangle it. They're either searching for something or they're trying to manipulate him in some way. As a matter of fact, Dr. Victoria Atwood says she can manipulate his mind with a new compound she's created called Project Synapse.
As for how we control it, let me show you what Project Synapse can do. Where the cradle merely induced fear, Synapse commands the entire emotional spectrum. We can suppress negativity and stress, or with a little push, tip over into madness.
Now, Project Synapse is kind of what sets up Black Ops Royale and the story going forward. It is a new compound that she has created, something that she can control from a tablet, and after she injects it into somebody, she can completely control their brain and their emotional spectrum. She can lock them inside their brain and make them really happy or really sad or really fearful. And what we see on the background behind her is actually a set of TVs that are showing what is going on inside David Mason's mind. But why? What are they looking for in his mind? What is this missing piece that the Guild needs? In order to find it, she increases all of his fear levels, his anxiety, all of his negative emotions to the maximum that his brain can handle in order to try to take him to this dark place, to this place where he's holding this information that the Guild wants. And right as she does that, she is ambushed by Spectre 2. So she throws the tablet to the side in order to get into a gunfight and activates a robot. So David Mason's mind is now at the absolute maximum anxiety, fear, and every negative emotion you can have. And at the same time that this entire cutscene is taking place, the Black Ops Royale intro cutscene is taking place. David Mason is in his mind going back to Verdansk. A couple months ago, before Black Ops 7 release, their teaser for it was that we destroyed Stadium, and within the Stadium, there was a giant missile launch system that seemed like it was part of the Guild. We never got any confirmation on this until this Black Ops Royale intro cinematic, when we see David Mason and his team trying to drop into Stadium. But as they're getting into Verdansk, he mentally starts picturing all of the cradle nearby linking into his plane, turning his teammates into zombies. Everyone's freaking out. He shoves everyone out of the plane, jumps towards the stadium in Verdansk, and then gets turned around. He reverses back up to the sky, falls into the sky through a crack created and back into Avalon. And that brings us into Black Ops Royale's story. The entirety of Black Ops Royale is taking place inside of David Mason's mind, but it's taking place while Spectre 2 is in active gunfight with Victoria Atwood. He's just strapped to a chair in the middle of the room, fighting everything inside of his mind, and his mind is trying to guide him. His brain knows that this is not right, that there's something wrong, so he's picturing enemy combatants and guild technology in Avalon, where he's supposed to be picturing a normal Verdansk operation that he'd already been on. His brain is mentally trying to show him the way out, and the way it's doing this is by collapsing in the area of his brain, the circle that we see in Black Ops Royale. It's forcing everyone together and trying to get David Mason to fight all of his fears and come out on top, all the while, in real life, there's a gunfight going on around him. But the Black Ops Royale story gets a lot more interesting because it's not just that his brain is giving him enemies to fight. One of the most interesting things that you can find is an operator mission called Memories. Now, this mission is very, very unique for a lot of reasons. The mission starts off with requiring you to find a familiar old white t-shirt in the stadium in Avalon. Now, when you go find it, it just looks like your average white t-shirt. Well, this is actually a callback to Black Ops 4's Blackout mode. You had to go find a white t-shirt to unlock the Alex Mason quest. So this t-shirt is actually Alex Mason's, the same one that he wore when he was being interrogated in Black Ops 1. Now, after you find this, it tells you have to go across the map to Heliport to find a photo. Now, what's interesting is when you find this photo, it is the only occurrence in all of Black Ops Royale where you find a note in the game. When you find the photo on the wall right here, there is a note, and the note says, "Son, the truth is, kid, you aren't just a number, an asset, or a pawn in someone else's game. You are your own man. Go out and give him hell, kid. Dad." This note right here is a note created by David Mason's mind, a note from his father to him, encouraging him to keep fighting. Because the t-shirt he found was his dad's in Black Ops 1, the one that he was wearing when he was being interrogated, when he was fighting his mind, when he was being forced to recall all of these numbers programs that had been plugged into his head by Dragovich. Alex Mason had to go through all of that, and now David Mason finds himself in the exact same situation, strapped to a chair, being manipulated by someone else, and he is forced to confront all of these memories and these fake ideas inside of his head. The entirety of Black Ops Royale is taking place inside of David Mason's mind. All of the weapon archetypes that you find across the map are just how David Mason would build out one of these weapons given the opportunity. When you upgrade it, it's how David Mason imagines the weapon would be upgraded. Everything is happening in David Mason's mind. But we go back to the question beginning with all of this. What is inside of his head that the guild wants? They have the seedling technology. They don't need him for that. But there's something in his brain the guild wants to get out for a very specific reason. And I'd be willing to bet that it has something to do with an enemy that he defeated back in Black Ops 2.